You are Locked On Texas Tech, your daily podcast on the Texas Tech Red Raiders. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Great to be with you again on Locked On Texas Tech on the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Now the number one sports podcast network in the world. Thanks as always for making us your first listen. And today's episode is brought to you by FanDuel. Right now, new customers can bet only $5. And if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. So download the FanDuel app today. With the only Chris Level, I'm Casey Cowan. Chris, great to be back with you once again. And as we are very patiently biding our time during this open week for Joey McGuire and the Red Raiders, it has given us an opportunity to think a little bit about some bigger picture subjects down the road. And even in a convenient way this week, something interesting being reported as it relates to the possibility of a Big 12 QB being on the move elsewhere. We'll get to Tempe, Arizona, Sam Levitt in just a moment. But I did want to talk about this with you anyway this week, because this is probably the story that's going to lead the portal or roster building conversation as we get nearer to the offseason, hopefully a while from now. But I want to talk about Tech's upcoming QB search. This all in light, of course, of the Will Hammond injury that has changed your state of being in a big way, at least as it pertains to about the next year and a half. So I want to get to that. I want to get to some criteria because I know eligibility is a big part of this. I already mentioned Will Hammond, and we're thinking about a one-and-done dream kind of scenario possibly, but is it actually realistic, and what else criteria is playing into that search when it comes to identifying targets? But Chris, in general, I was curious just to start the conversation. Roster decisions, roster management, seems like it never ends nowadays in college sports. And I know James Blanchard and his office, they stay busy round the clock. But I'm kind of curious, as you're getting toward the end of the regular season, hopefully aspirations there in the college football playoff to come to fruition, Arlington title game to come to fruition, et cetera. But these conversations, are they happening right now as far as decisions in-house when it comes to your guys on the roster that have got some calls to make potentially? Talk of contracts, talk of the future. Is that already happening, or is it sort of something they try to put off until the appropriate time? If there is one.
I think you answered your own question right there. I don't know. I don't know if there is. I mean, what does Joey McGuire say all the time? What does he ask his kids to live by? What's next? Of course, you are. You know, Joey and Coach Blanchard, there, and Coach Nance and Coach Harwell, Coach Kinney, that whole personnel department. That's their job, really. That's their existence, is to be wondering about the down the road, like constantly. And sometimes that's way down the road. Sometimes that's more of immediate down the road. Like, hey, you're going to veer off to the right up here in a mile, or hey, man, in 15 miles, you're going to want to take a left at the interstate. Okay, so all the above. Joey's the one person on the staff too that I think is got to be worried about the now, but also the future and things like that. I can tell you that I think he mentioned I don't know if this was like a week or two or three ago in one of his coaches' shows. He's like, what are we even doing, man? We're just living in a strange world. I mean, we've been meeting about the portal all day. He's just kind of laughing about it, right? And it was before the BYU or before the Kansas State game, but this is the world you're living in. To answer your question, those conversations have been going on. I think that you are trying to wrap up some of your current team to ensure that they are here next season. I think that there's some individuals that could go pro. They could transfer out. They could, whatever. But I think that there's some, even some members of this portal class that came in last year that you would like to keep here again. And it's not easy to look around and figure out who could come back that you would like to have back and all those things. So, yeah, I think terms are being discussed. How about that? Contracts being worked on and all those things. But hell yeah, you've got. It's kind of like the NFL calendar, and like the draft is in late April. Free agency starts in early March, and NFL teams will typically try to do a lot of work in free agency so they can go into the draft and going, okay, we don't just need anything, because that's when you get in trouble. Like if you go in like, we got to have this and this. Well, sometimes it doesn't fall your way like that. So right now, I think what you're doing is you're trying to figure out exactly what your current situation looks like, so you can really start to put together your portal class and address the things that you you'll need, but you don't want any surprises. So yeah, securing certain players at certain spots, definitely the talk of the bye week maybe, and even in the weeks leading up to it and all that stuff. Yes.
Interesting. I wanted to add something and get your thought on this, because I was actually texting recently this week with Seth, one of our Matador mobsters, that was asking about the 5-for-5 angle. And if we need any refresher on that, we can do that as well. But the question was more so whether or not you have a feel of how the conversation is being handled with some of those guys who could be impacted by that at this time. I know that we've all got our own maybe thoughts or predictions as to what we're going to see, but I mean, that's at play for some of these guys. So do you have any feel or insight as to how maybe the program side is handling those convos?
Yeah, I think Joey expects that to be ruled on December the 15th. I think that, and you may get word way before that it either is going to be a thumbs up or thumbs down. I think the most prominent right now for Texas Tech is like Reggie Virgil. And I think if this was passed, I think he's playing for you next year. I think it's pretty much that simple. And if not, there maybe is a scenario where you're going to have to go find a receiver or two in the portal as part of the portal class. So right now that's kind of, I think there's probably contingencies if this falls either way, and then, and seeing how this goes. But he's the most prominent. There was some thought that Cole Wisniewski could be a part of this. I'm not sure if that still held true. I think Skylar Gill-Howard is somebody that they will attempt, because I think the argument for Skylar Gill-Howard is, and I think we've touched on this, but it's like, man, I'm playing in games with 8-minute quarters. I didn't even play in the second half of some of this stuff in the beginning of the season, right? And so I think he's and he played in 5 games, but it was on like he got hurt on the second or third play of the game, and so, but yet we're letting G League players from the professional ranks and overseas players in other sports come into the deal and all that. So that was going to be kind of their argument. I do think that is a bit of a long shot stretch, just trying to make sure that we get people's expectations under control as far as what that would look like. But I think he would attempt to take advantage of that if it were to pass. So,
man, leave no stone unturned with those guys you're mentioning. Why not?
All they can say is no. And if the player wants to do it, the school will do their part to put their best foot forward. The compliance department, whoever files that stuff, and you'll get after it and go for it. But the tricky thing about this is like, and that's what I'm saying, you've probably got a whiteboard where you're going, okay, if this goes the way we hope, then this is how we'll operate. If this the way, I mean, and you don't really know. The one thing you do, I think, feel pretty solid knowing is that you're going to need some defensive linemen. You're going to need a tight end. You're going to need either a backer or a safety, and you're going to need a quarterback.
And I feel very comfortable feeling like the guys in charge of all this can navigate these waters very well and very deftly from day to day, sometimes minute to minute, as things can change, and then you get to plan B or whatever it might be. Okay, I want to get to focusing in on specifically this quarterback conversation, which is obviously going to be one of the most interesting we have to have leading up to this effort. And Chris, I'm sure some targets, prospects, guys they like, maybe old relationships as well. already being identified as far as possible ways in which to go. Conversation got a little bit more interesting this week, as you've probably seen out there reporting from On3 over the last 24 hours or so, indicating someone we're familiar with, Arizona State quarterback Sam Leavitt, would be seeking to wind up elsewhere via the portal in his next season. Obviously has had an injury to deal with in Tempe this season. Has been a very impactful guy for Arizona State. I don't know if this happens to coincide for some reason with the head coach panhandling for donations from local businesses this week or not, but that's out there also. So I wanted to get to the Leavitt angle, Chris, because he's a very good football player. We all know that, and we've seen it up close and personal. So a lot of Red Raider interest as far as a possible fit. I don't know, or not. But in a minute, I also want to get to this criteria we got to talk about with this search, because I think the eligibility thing is obviously a very, very big deal as you try to keep some things intact within your QB room that you've already got assembled. But I'm also just wondering in general about this position specifically and adding a new face to the fold. And it's like, all right, now be a cornerstone of our team. Maybe easier said than done. But let's start with Leavitt, man. What'd you make of seeing this come across, and how do you feel about any potential Red Raider interest or connection?
Yeah, I wasn't surprised. I don't think it's just set. So this is what this is the existence we're all gonna live in over the next, say, 6 weeks or so, is the intention to be in the portal. His return is doubtful, which is, I think, how this was phrased. His return to Tempe is doubtful, and he's being shopped at a high level, and all these different things. So there's going to be these announcements. These are not hard and fast announcements. No, there's nothing that's just dead set on what is or isn't happening. It's just almost like let's float the trial balloon and see which way it blows. So you got to understand how the media game works too, to a certain extent, because this one. Because I'm gonna ask my man Cowan some questions here, Casey. So you just be ready for this. But you see like a family member deny that the reporting here, but it's not really a denial.
First, today's episode brought to you by FanDuel, and football is in full force, and FanDuel's keeping you stocked with action every game day with a can't-miss offer. Right now, new customers can bet only $5, and if your bet hits, you're getting $300 in bonus bets to use across the app. Player props, building a same-game parlay, or even jumping in live as the action unfolds. Any way you like it, FanDuel has you covered. Quick, easy, and secure every time. If you're ready to play, download the FanDuel app now by visiting FanDuel.com to get started. That's FanDuel.com to place your first $5 bet.
You see like a family member deny that the reporting here, but it's not really a denial. And so when I say this to you, like, do you think somebody's really denying the report, or are they just mad that it got out?
The latter. Yeah.
When you see Steve Sarkisian being linked to NFL jobs a month ago, 3 weeks ago, and we're going to do our part as a coach and an agent to shoot all of that down on a Saturday, the day that his team is playing, do you think that it was wrong, or they're just mad that it got out?
Well, everything's always on the up and up with Steve historically. So
I
think they're still mad it got out. Yeah.
When's the last time that any agent wanted to shoot down reports that would increase leverage for his client?
Right.
Just make you curious.
Things that make you go,
Exactly. I just think you got to understand. You got to follow this stuff now. Okay. Now I think that the tricky thing, and I'm not trying to get ahead of myself here because I know you kind of laid this out a second ago, but the tricky thing about bringing a quarterback into your program that is being shopped at a high level, true, not true, whatever, and that he's leaving Arizona State or potentially leaving Arizona State, or we're panhandling, whatever, does this give you pause?
A little.
And I think it should.
Different kind of category as far as spotlight or reporting or surroundings for a player like that. And I mean his posse.
I completely 1,000% agree. So I'm not going to tell you that Sam Leavitt is in the crosshairs of Texas Tech's search for a quarterback. I'm not going to tell you that he's not an option either. I just think that you've got to follow how this is going to work. And again, there's no guarantee that Sam Leavitt is going to get into the portal. This is kind of a report out there that, hey, doubtful to return to Tempe, being shopped, not real sure. And then, if everything gets all squared away, he could be back in Tempe, and him and Kenny can go have beers and all the things, right? And away they go. But you just got to follow. But we are now in this game. I say we, as covering Texas Tech, we are now going to have to follow the quarterback movement here because you are now involved. You didn't want to be. I think it sucks, but this is the reality of what is about to happen here, and you simply cannot count your season on Will Hammond coming back from an ACL injury. There's just too much unknown. You can't, and I don't think you're ready to hand it to Mitch Griffiths and say, hey, man, it's your team now. I think Mitch will be a part of this. And then obviously with Lloyd Jones and Stephen Cannon, who will show up and all that stuff, there's going to need to be an outside party that comes in and large in part is handed the keys to this team for a year or longer. We'll see. And I think it's very tricky. But when you start seeing guys that are being shopped and guys that I don't give a damn how talented they are or where they've come from, Joey is not going to fiddle with anything goofy in this realm. And he may not get it exactly how he wants it or be able to pick it exactly how he wants it. Doesn't mean they won't try, but high-priced, baggaged players with injury history, or are they from here? Do they fit? Do we even know them? And there's a lot of vetting here, maybe more so than anything else you will try to bring in here. And so when you start to see these reports, including Sam Leavitt, just start asking some of these questions aloud here. And it may not be too difficult to try to figure out, okay, are they rolling here or not? And some of it too is, Cowan, you don't really know what options you truly have.
Yeah.
I don't know if we all know exactly what is out there on the list to shop from just yet.
Yeah. Difficult to discern that when we're sitting here in mid-November with a whole lot still to play out. And I guess what I'm thinking I'm hearing is, regardless of like the Leavitt specific circumstances, just in general, going out and looking for a quarterback in the portal maybe is about the last position that you want to be doing that with, particularly where you're like, man, I'd really love a guy to be here for a year, and then we can get back to our sort of assembly line of quarterbacks that we've constructed. But I mean, it's just a big spot. It's a unique position unto itself, and it's unfortunate we're in this position, but maybe this is one that you really, really, among others, uniquely kind of say, we'd love for this guy to be coming up with us, and sort of a homegrown deal, I guess.
You're going to get an outside party that gets dropped in here and arguably plays the most important position in the entire program. And he's going to be potentially unknown to everybody there. He's potentially going to be put up on the podium by the head coach and going, hey, man, here you go. Don't screw it up. I mean, and yet I'm going to try to, if I'm Joey, you're going to try to give him every bit of confidence and knowledge of the team, and we've got to get to know each other rather quickly, because you even saw some of these portal quarterbacks this year have worked, some have not worked, and it's just dicey. And here's the other thing is, like you may get your list of options, and there's going to be a price tag that comes with it and all these different things. But there's also going to be different skill sets that come with it. and you're probably going to go, man, I like this guy, but I really like this guy too. You know what? Let's just do both. That way we're kind of covered. It's not how this is going to work. You don't get to have A and B and go, okay, we're covered. I didn't have to really. No, you're going to have to dig down and make a decision, and then you're going to have to live with it, and you're going to have to make it work, and that player will have to make it work. And is this power four? Is this experienced? Is this younger? Is this older? Is this group of five? Is this a runner? Is this a drop back? Is this a combination? Is this somebody that's got a little injury that's happened before? Is this somebody that's had a little off the field trouble before? Is this somebody that is squeaky clean that you're going to have to pay through the nose for, that everybody in the country wants? Don't know. And
can I say, can I ask, is it a non-starter to talk about a guy that isn't a 1 year sort of dude? First, today's episode brought to you by Gametime. Have you ever decided at the last minute to head to a ball game with friends or family? Maybe it's game day and you suddenly feel the call of the stadium. That's exactly where Gametime comes in. It's the easiest way to grab last-minute tickets without the stress. And with the money you save on tickets, you can then splurge on foods, drinks, gear, and more. Gametime makes it all possible. And best of all, Gametime makes buying tickets fast and simple. Prices on the app actually drop the closer you get the first pitch, and they've got incredible last-minute deals, clear seat views, and a lowest price guarantee that takes the worry out of buying. And if you're like me, you get tired of endless scrolling trying to find the best deal, and that's why Gametime's Zone Deals is the go-to move, since it automatically picks the best seats in your section for you at the best price. And as always, you can get a view from your seat right there in the app. So before you buy, you know exactly what you're going to see. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use our code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and use our code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Download the Gametime app today. Last-minute tickets at the lowest price, guaranteed. Can I ask, is it a non-starter to talk about a guy that isn't a 1 year sort of dude, because you are trying to preserve so much with your own room you've already got together? Or would they be maybe open to the right option?
There is a quarterback at North Texas that I think that people have latched onto and going, hey man, that'd be pretty good. My questions there, and I think people our audience is smart, most of them. You have to understand. Here's what I would wonder about the Mean Green signal caller. Okay, the freshman that's had a monster year. They're 9-1, I think, right now, and just had a phenomenal year for Eric Mestamaker is his last name. And he is a freshman. He's got many years to play. Does that fit here? Don't know if that part does. The other thing that I would ask aloud to folks trying to link you to this player, if he were to get in the portal, is, I mean, don't you think that he would follow Eric wherever he goes? I think Eric's got some opportunities, plural. I think he will have opportunities, plural. I would think, not guarantee, but I would think he will accept one of these opportunities. And I'd be willing to bet you that he will, more than likely, he will, his quarterback will come with. So that, but it's not I don't think it's a deal breaker if they have 2 or 3 or 4 years or anything like that. But I think your preference is just a 1 year scenario. Otherwise, you start messing with the Will Hammonds and the Lloyd Joneses and the Kavion Bryants and things like that. And they start looking at it going, okay, well, my time's like 2 or 3 years from now. Screw that. I'm out. You start fiddling with that.
Well, and that's just one of the, in texting with some mobsters this week about it and like, what are we looking for in a QB? I've kind of wondered, is that the most prominent criteria, aside from obviously being a serviceable quarterback, is the element of time, something that's considered even more so in this situation. But I'd also have to think, if you've got the right situation or some player that you're just in love with and the element of time doesn't line up exactly perfectly, Well, it is about competition after all. So explain it to the rest of your room and welcome the guy into the fold, I guess.
Yeah. I would say that if you can cross check the ability that you're looking for, and the experience component to go along with the character component, you'll pay through the nose for whatever this would be.
Yeah, that's cake and eating it too kind of territory. And maybe we get there. I don't know.
And I don't know if anybody is out there that checks that box just yet. I'll just say that.
Yeah, kind of difficult to imagine. And just a difficult situation to be in. Obviously, if you got to go shopping, you don't necessarily want QB to be all that high on the list of importance for that go around. But we've seen it before. You've seen guys wind up being successful in a new place
Absolutely.
almost right off the bat. But you're going to be right back in the spot next year with some high expectations. So it will be of ultra importance. Obviously, probably the number one leading storyline of the offseason.
Yeah, and we will break down every single thing we can about whoever's brought in here. But like I would say that, and I think we said this on one of the overtimes, maybe like a couple of weeks or months ago or something. But like he's out of eligibility now. But like I just go back to if he had another year, like who you wanted, if you were really worried about Barron and you weren't sure about the shoulder and it just wasn't gonna, like you're gonna have to push this button a year ago. It was Haynes King, who Joey knew his dad. He's a Texas boy. He's by all accounts a phenomenal human and a hell of a player. Okay. This is kind of what your thought would be, and he's maybe more of a runner than what Barron has. But I don't know if you are going to get caught up into, because you might not be able to pick. Like he does this a bit better than that. Well, okay, yeah, but he's a really good dude, and we can make it happen. And he wants to come here. He's from Texas. We know him. Whatever. Okay, let's do it. I mean, you see what I mean? So.
Sure.
There's just all kinds of dynamics, and it's going to be wildly fascinating because you're right. I just don't know if there is a quote unquote perfect fit. I have one in mind, but I'm not going to say that aloud because, I mean, to other people, he may not be perfect, but he may stay where he's at, or there may be people that, because the Levitts and some of these other folks, they've also got some NFL type stuff coming at him too, right? And what's interesting too, I'll just throw this out there. Do you remember the name of Francisco Mendoza?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And we know where he's at now, and he's lighting it up, and he may be leading the Heisman campaign. I just remember seeing this cat when he was at Cal around a not a great team, and Amir Washington was sacking him every 10 minutes. Right. And now and you fast forward and going, that's the same dude? Like, what in the world?
That's the best player in the country?
But he's been pretty good.
Been pretty good.
But so there's that too. You may get somebody that we don't even know that is playing at a much different level, that the evaluators like go, you surround him with the right cast and put him in the right system. He too could be a Heisman Trophy candidate.
Yeah.
I'll just throw that out there to you. Think Group of Five, think Ivy League, think there's some other scenarios here. I know we're getting caught up into the Power Four group. Sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt, but yeah, I just wanted to. You gotta expand your thought process with some of this stuff, because it may not be a no-brainer.
Locked on Texas Tech, all about expanding your mind, new horizons. Chris, before we get out of here, I got to ask you this question, because I promised our guy Nathan I would, a Matador Mobster, who was texting me about this week, and actually several have. So I don't know necessarily where this maybe rumor was bubbling up from or not, but it's sort of just a true or false situation. Has there been a quarterbacks camp or camps already making overtures toward Texas Tech in the Big 12 or otherwise? Does it work like that ever? Like, hey, we're still sort of playing over here, but I am in the posse and I'm calling you to say, do you want to talk? Is that stuff going on?
the way that question, I'll just say this: the way that some of this stuff works is, do I think a player has called a school and been like, "Hey man, you got any room for me? You if you're looking, I'm looking." No. Does a player's camp is the right word, or representation contact personnel department, or vice versa? 1,000%.
That happening with any Big 12 quarterbacks you know of?
1,000%. Yeah.
Yeah. All right, cool. Glad we had time for that. Thank you, Nathan, for that question. I'm sorry I forgot to ask yesterday, but I got it in today.
Yeah. I mean, so again, I wish I could sit here and tell you how this was all going to play out. We don't know what we don't know either, because I think the menu that you're choosing from right now could change tomorrow, and then a week from now, and the menu 10 days from now may offer up one of my man Cowan's ribeyes on it. The menu right now may be sirloin, and I'm like, damn, I don't want that. It's tough. It sucks. It's not well marbled. In fact, there's no marbling. I'll wait on a fancy Cowan ribeye.
Not seeing our sirloins, Chris. Don't sleep on the sirloin, but every once in a while, sirloin pass protection tells itself.
My bad. But you get what I'm saying, though. See, and that's what is tricky in this ever changing things, because I'm just telling you, you're going to live in the next 6 to 8 weeks on the, hey man, my intention to get in the portal. Hey, you know what? I decided not to get in the portal. Or hey, I'm announcing that I'm going to come back. Well, were you really leaving? I mean, this is, it's going to be really newsy, but it's I guess that's kind of what we're here for. We'll try to make the most sense of it as we can.
I know Coach McGuire and the team, they're doing their best to keep us super entertained during the season with actual football, and and it's been so much fun, but I'm still looking ahead to that portal party. I'm still looking ahead to some of the car crash elements of the portal cycle. We'll be here for it, top to bottom, inside and out. All right, Chris.
I would say, because obviously we're focused on QB, but I mean there's a lot going on here, man. There's a lot going on, and it's been going on, but it goes on everywhere. You're not the lone person making calls. That's just not what's happening. So, head on a swivel season is almost here. I'm head on a swivel. So there you go.
That's why you get subscribed on YouTube or anywhere you get podcasts, so you never miss an episode. We, of course, appreciate your time. Thank you for being out there, Chris. Appreciate you as always, man. Looking forward to the next one. We'll get back together for a game day edition. We got hoops returning to the hardwood this week, so looking forward to that. We'll listen to a couple thoughts from Red Raider head coach Grant McCaslin as we get ready for Wake Forest and friends. Yet to be determined who the other friends are. But we'll get to that on our next episode and a whole lot more as we are getting ready to take on the open week. Only Bash Rip Rock's Penny Pints can hurt us this time around. Let's mind our P's and Q's out there. Chris, looking forward to it, man. Thanks for the time. We'll see you then.
Oh man, yeah, love the reference there. That's well done. That's well done. That's why you're here, people. That's why you stay to the very end. Right. You got to be a Lubbockite or a Red Raider to kind of be familiar with what Cowan's dropping right there. Keep hope alive, people. We appreciate it. Thank you all to all those that have subscribed and are watching these. So we'll talk to everybody next time.
Been many great teams felled by a penny pint on an idle weekend. So heads on a swivel. I think it's a great approach to that as well. All right. Thank you, Chris. Thank you all for being out there. And, of course, thank you to the everydayers for always riding along, and the Matador Mob for hitting our show notes and finding a link to a free 14-day trial that they said, I'm good, I want more. You can do the same. Try it on, see how it suits you. Hit your direct line to Chris and myself with one-on-one text sent straight to your phone. For Chris, I'm Casey. Thanks, as always, for the time. We hope to see you back for the next round on Locked On Texas Tech.